On today's episode, I'll be pulling the cylinder head off my D16Y8. So y'all have seen before, I had put in this full-size Integra radiator, which most everyone hated the hell out of. I went from the Mishimoto dual core into this full-size stock Integra radiator. What a lot of you didn't seem to pick up on was that the dual core Mishimoto was busted. All the fins inside were bent and it had a bunch of gunk stuck in it. It just wasn't worth me saving. I went to the nice new one instead. But so here are some clips you'll see that I have done. I went ahead and fitted up the radiator, as you all saw. Then I routed my coolant hoses. I had to use like a little connector to kind of downstep into the stock size D16 water neck outlet. The Integra has a different size water outlet than what the water inlet or outlet is on the D16, the cylinder head. So I did that little step down piece to just make that fit nice and easy. It's not gonna win me any awards on how it looks, but you know, it works. So I went ahead and did all that. I went and drove the car around. You'll see here, all of these bubbles were appearing in the coolant overflow tank. And from what I've heard, you know, that can definitely be a sign of a head gasket going. So I know you can go and do all the tests and all that kind of stuff, you know, find out, hey, is it actually the head gasket, all that stuff. That's great. I just decided to skip all that because I want reliability out of this car. So putting in a fresh head gasket is good for me. So I went ahead and started doing all those steps, and that's what you're going to see here in this video. So I want to show you all the latest swag here that we got for Refined Movement. These are some of the new RM square stickers available in the red and white. We also have the Wrench Race Refined Repeat. And then this is a new t-shirt that we got going on. This is one of a few different styles and available in multiple different colors. Y'all can check out the link below in the description to pick up this very cool work t-shirt, nice and comfortable. We got the RM logo on the front, the traditional round logo on the back. And then of course, we have our classic Refined Movement vinyl sticker. This is a cutout 3x3 vinyl sticker. I got everything off there. I'm going to be taking my nicely painted valve cover off, and I'm going to go ahead and replace it with the one that's a beater. All right, so I'm pretty much to a point where I've got everything disconnected from the cylinder head and the intake manifold. I can take that valve cover back off and then start working on the bolts that are actually holding the cylinder head to the block. You'll see here I've got my cam gear off. I've got that lower cover, or that upper cover off, and the timing belt is just slipped off to the side. I just loosened the tension bolt down there. I of course made sure that everything is at top dead center. The up mark is labeled up, and then down at the bottom here, it's all perfectly lined up in those two sights. You'll just have to take my word for that. So everything is in time. I went ahead and took care of the fuel system. So this is just an old fuel pressure regulator sitting here. I've got my one that's still hooked up to the line, just pushed off to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and bag that up so nothing gets in that line. That's just blocking off the fuel rail. Then over here, I got the fuel line, the main fuel supply line, tucked up off to the side, bagged up. That's all off. Also, the fuel injectors, you'll see, are still in the intake manifold. I just went ahead and moved I just went ahead and moved the wiring harness off to the side. Then you pretty much got to tackle coolant lines. It's just this one kind of U-shaped hose here that goes from the intake manifold down into the water pipe here right behind the thermostat. And then there's another thinner line back in there that goes up to the bottom of the IACV, and you go ahead and just disconnect that at any point that you can. Also with the coolant lines, you have this guy coming out of the cylinder head off to the side here underneath the distributor. I have mine bypassing. It looks pretty nasty right there right now, but it's bypassing. I'm not running the heater core, so that's disconnected. And then of course, the coolant temperature and the coolant temperature sending unit, you just unplug those as well. Other things were the brake booster hose. I went ahead and got rid of that, just moved it off to the side. And then all the sensors that are part of the wiring harness. So this guy right back here, there's another one, I believe underneath the ICV here. Of course, the throttle position sensor and the map sensor, and then the throttle cable. I just went and tucked that up off to the side right here. And finally, you definitely can't see it from this angle, but the PCV valve, right where that hose connects to up here, underneath there, I just went ahead and unplugged the line from the black box. You'll see it obviously just runs straight out from under there, and then over to the black box, you just boop, pop that line right off. And I just like to know where everything is, so I'm keeping this drawer here full of the crap that comes out of there. Except for the radiator, of course. But everything else is in here. Yeah, so I'll know where to get it all. Then, of course, obvious, but you see the exhaust manifold is already off. And then I went ahead and removed the radiator as well, just so I have plenty of working room and I don't want to damage my new radiator. So yeah, I'll be able to get in there if I have to. Probably going to lower the car back down, and then I'll start working on these cylinder head bolts. Of course, you'll see the distributor is off as well. I just went ahead and made a mark right there and also on the side of my distributor, so I know where to generally put it when I put it back on. And then, of course, go ahead and unplug everything for the VTEC solenoid. Anything to do with the wiring harness that's connected up to the cylinder head, I just unplugged. And so if you haven't figured, my plan is after I go ahead and remove those cylinder head bolts, I'm going to be pulling up the cylinder head along with the intake manifold still attached. I'm going to go ahead and set it on the floor on a piece of clean cardboard, and then I'll be able to easily access the bolts for the intake manifold, and I can safely take that off, and then I can go ahead and scrape off that old intake manifold gasket much easier than if everything was still connected up in the car. All right, so everything's already broke free. I'm at the stage where I'm just pretty much getting that last little bit on each one. I just did quarter turns on all this stuff to break them free, and then just going in the order, doing quarter turns, loosening them up. Like I said, they're pretty much all broke free now. What I'm going to do is be able to thread these out by hand, and then we'll see if this thing's going to come on out. And there we have the exposed block. Pretty cool, man. I've never done this before, and it's pretty cool seeing everything like that. Pistons are definitely, you know, dirty on the top. Definitely that burnt kind of stuff. I could probably clean that up. But yeah. Overall, everything looks as it should, as far as I know. And then, of course, there is the cylinder head and the intake manifold. What I'm going to be doing now is going ahead and taking off that intake manifold, separate it from the cylinder head, also take off the VTEC solenoid over there, and just get it ready, because I'm going to be bringing this cylinder head down to a local shop to make sure that everything is level. And here's the head gasket that came off. It doesn't look obviously blown. My limited knowledge in all of this, you know, it's obviously not broken anywhere, but I don't know. Is it leaking a little bit? That's a possibility. Either way, I'm happy I'm doing this job. It's going to be peace of mind for me and knowing that everything is correct. So yeah, but this is the old one. So taking this intake manifold off is definitely easier with it out of the car. You know, it's still attached to the cylinder head. You got the bolts up on the top there, but definitely the one that are harder to get to is the one beneath. So it'll be easy to just manipulate this thing, move it around as I need to, and get them bolts. And just a minute later, the nuts are off, intake manifold is off. Super easy, definitely much easier with it out of the car. Obviously I had to take the intake manifold gasket off, and that sucks, you know, because you got to redo that. But it's not caked on there too bad. There are some spots that, you know, I'm obviously going to go ahead and clean that up, and then I'll clean this side up too. I'm imagining that the machine shop will be able to really help me clean up the intake and exhaust sides. So yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing this thing down to the shop. So I got the cylinder head off. I have awesome news that I'm going to be working with a machine shop called Advanced Cylinder Heads. They're here in Winter Park, Florida, and I'm really excited to be working with these guys. They're going to be going through my entire cylinder head, cleaning it up for me, making sure it's nice and level so that when I put it back on the block, you know, it's going to be sealed up really well. They're going to take it all apart, clean it all up, replace any parts that may need to be replaced. Really looking forward to getting some reliability, hopefully, out of this engine. And yeah, so that's what you're going to be seeing in the coming episodes, is me at Advanced Cylinder Heads. They're going to go ahead and rework the thing. We're going to show you the process of how they rework a cylinder head, and I highly recommend y'all checking them out. So we'll be seeing that in the coming episodes.